kind of are. I mean, there's a lot of things we think we kind of have to work out anyway, like how we make our own internet. But you, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even entirely sarcastic.
No,
It's not even entirely sarcastic. Let's be honest.
it's really not. I mean, I love how, you know, all of the people that are freedoming so much harder than everyone else just are like, well, you can make your own, or you can start your own, or
Hmm.
you don't have to use somebody else's platforms. Like, okay, why don't you shut up?
Okay, why don't you shut up?
Why,
Most convincing argument on the planet.
why couldn't they muzzle you of all people? You're annoying as hell, and you have no good suggestions.
It's like at what point do you it's like at what point do you kind of clue in on the fact that it's like, okay, yes, we could theoretically make our own versions of Twitter and Facebook. We kind of have, but can you make your own payment processors? Can you make your own servers? Can you make your own banks? It goes on
Right.
down the
Because
line
people
as
made all their own versions of the other um people made their own versions of the other big social media platforms.
and then
And
immediately
then
got
they
canceled.
were promptly kicked off of servers. So, I mean,
Yeah, as is pointed out,
and it's
Amazon owns a lot of the major server space in the world too. Kind of a low
well,
key facet
it's
of it.
the same thing you hear every time people complain about TV shows, movie, Hollywood, big publishers for, book publishing and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, why don't you just do your own?
Mm-hmm.
Well, people have done their own, and then they've been kicked off of the platforms where they would crowdfund that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, unless you're just gonna rebuild absolutely everything, which good luck. I mean, I would love to see a lot of this stuff be in competition. And I would love to see, some truly unbiased platforms for crowdfunding and publishing and everything else. But the fact of the matter is that the big stuff that's already out there is gatekeeping. So
Mm-hmm.
stop telling people to just go do your own thing and make your own thing and stop complaining because we've tried that.
Yes, and it's not working. Shockingly, in the age of woke, it's not working.
I mean, as someone that produces items that I then sell online, I'm just waiting for the day that somebody puts it together that like, oh, evil bad thinker is trying to sell things, and then they go straight to the platform that I'm selling on and, you know, make all kinds of noise about how I'm some big bad bully and I shouldn't be able to sell my things there. It happens all the time.
Whoopsie. Yep. Sorry, I just made a mistake with my web browser. I may have forgotten. I may have forgotten a thing or two about the fact that I had two separate windows open. And way too many tabs. And we're
Oh,
not going to
well.
talk about that. And we're going to close it now that they're all in one window. There we go. Anyway,
See, it's like everyone telling me that I should get someone else to produce this. And it's like, well, I Osei's the gatekeeper for this show, so you're just gonna have to deal with it.
yeah, you're moderately competent uh, producer who definitely knows what he's doing and definitely doesn't suck ass at everything.
What on earth are you drinking?
It's a combination of ginger ale and like this really girly pink lemonade vodka. It's really tasty.
Okay.
Because as a general rule, I don't actually like vodka that much. I prefer rum. Um, there's two bottles of rum over there in that corner. But I'm about to pull my camera off my monitor. But my knee hit the cord. It's like, that's gonna drag it down. So, but but no. What was I saying before I distracted myself with that? But yeah, no, it's not bad though.
Now you're talking about how you like to drink all the rum and you're just a massive sot now. And we might not get this edited until Monday because of that.
That is not why. It is because I'm tired as hell all the time. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that's the side effect of the liquor.
I don't drink that much, believe it or not. I may have several. I may have several bottles, but you may also notice that only two of them are only actually. Okay, so there's four bottles. Technically, one is empty, and it's been empty for like 8 months. The Jameson, I didn't like it that much, to be fair. The Captain Morgan pineapple rum, that's the one that's mostly empty, and that's because that's the one I like the flavor of the most. I have not opened that Jim Bean up yet, and the sliced apple rum, which is the other bottle there. I don't know how clearly you can see that actually. That's just barely tapped, and then the vodka's in the refrigerator. Going through that one kind of fast though. That's because again, it's tasty. I say as I take another sip.
It's a lot of liquor.
Yeah. It also I bet you half of it will still be here by the end of the year. That's how slowly I drink it. It's almost entirely like flavor enhancement. Like I don't really even I don't even drink enough to get a buzz off of it. I just like I'll just get a glass of soda of some sort, add a splash of whatever I'm in the mood for. And that's maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Or at least I'm led to believe it's weird. But I'm starting to think everybody else is an alcoholic.
Yeah, I don't know how much I believe, the tales of what everyone has put their liver through. It doesn't seem like, they'd still be alive if
You think the cirrhosis would have caught up with them, right? But okay, just lost your visual for a split second. That caught me off guard. But yeah, anyway. All right, I'm trying to because I actually should move this window over to my main monitor so that I'm looking in the right direction at all times. There we go. That's smart. I'm a smart person. I forgot that's what I always do. I would always move it to the main monitor. That way I'm looking in the direction of the camera as well as, looking in the direction of the chat. That way there is no confusion in my brain when I'm looking over here to look at what your facial reactions are, while at the same time not looking over here where the camera is. Because I'm a professional, as we all know.
Okay. You are the absolute most professional person I can afford to do this.
That was such a backhanded compliment. I am almost tempted to end this now. Because, ow! Ow, the burn. The absolute burn. I feel like I need, I can't even think of a burn cream at the moment. So we're just gonna leave that joke hanging and let you insert whatever burn cream you want in there. Anyway. So leaving aside my incredibly bruised ego, yeah, I know. We've been talking for how long now? Like, okay, I've been recording for 10 minutes exactly as I look over at OBS here. So, hello and welcome to Nerd Rage, and this awful nightmare is back, and what is wrong with us?
What's wrong with you?
Ow. Is this just like lay down some sick burns on Osei night, or?
Well, kind of, but that's any nerd rage ever. No, that was more for like the people watching or listening. Like
That's fair. Yeah, so
I know what's wrong with me. I'm fairly certain what's wrong with him, and half of it's sitting in the corner over there. But I mean, like, why are you subjecting yourself to this?
Anyway, It's funny because I'm trying not to smile, but the straight face is also dead serious at the same time. It's a lot of internal conflict in the mind. Anyway, so even though we have a tendency to kind of chat on endlessly, I am kind of limited on time because I do have to go to bed eventually. So, um, this isn't going to be like a this
We
is
we have to be very responsible and go to work and make lots of money to pay off everyone's student loans
fuck that. I have to
that
do
we didn't ask
I
for.
have to do mine first. I'm under 20,000 now, but I still have a lot of money to pay off.
See, I never bothered with all that student loan,
Like
so
I was really hoping. Well, yeah, you also had a kid. Um, I
I
was.
mean, yeah, I've paid my dues in other ways.
I
Thank you
mean,
very much. But honestly, like I didn't choose to take on lots of debt in that regard. I'm paying off a mortgage. If Joe Biden wants to pay off my mortgage, then he's welcome to,
Joe Biden can't
you
even
know.
change his own
But
damn diaper. How is he going to pay off your mortgage?
you know, I think that's not really. He wants to be known as the one that got rid of your debt, but he's not going to be the one to pay it. He's going to force other people, kind of like us, to go to work, pay taxes, and then he's going to confiscate that to pay off your debt.
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
really not fair to anyone.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wish that was. I kind of wish it was a $2,000 stimulus because I absolutely would have used that to pay off one of my loans.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I've been doing. I've just kind of been because I think I have like an individual loan plus one for like each individual semester that I attended university. And so I'm trying to like nuke those loans individually as I go along, and it's actually working pretty well. That's why I'm under 20,000 now because it's like when I realized like I have $8,000 in the bank. I'm gonna kill some of these loans. Screw that. you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was one of my it
Well,
was one of my better plans.
it's kind of the Dave Ramsey snowball effect to
hmm
paying off your debt.
It certainly feels like it's not growing as fast E2 with less interest rate, with less individual interest rates adding up over the total. Okay, police sirens. Anyway, sorry, that caught me off guard. Like, why do I hear that so clearly? And then I realized there's not many sounds in my headset right now, so it's not that surprising. Anyway, because usually I'm playing video games or whatever, so the sounds outside of my headset get drowned out, so I don't really realize what's going on in the world around me. So literally a nuke could be dropped in the town, and I wouldn't really notice unless it rattled my windows. So
It's very safe, very, very aware.
yeah, it is very safe, at least psychologically. It's my safe space, one might say. Anyway, so yeah, it's been at least a couple of years, probably a little bit longer. I haven't logged into the YouTube channel yet to actually check. Gosh, we need to make our own YouTube now too. Dang it. Um, but
Ew.
but yeah, we are back. I seem to recall that the reason we stopped doing is that we burned out on all the negative news surrounding Trump all the time. Um, but now,
Oh, yeah. It's only so much you can do with Orange Man Bad, and we're going to talk about how he ate his steak.
yes. I forgot that was a story. But
And the fact that we went from Michelle was just the very height of fashion, and she was always very chic and put together, and Melania is just, how
Satan.
dare she not speak English perfectly? This international supermodel that
Which is really funny, yeah, because I was gonna say because Melania is way prettier than Michelle Obama by every metric, basically, inside and outside, as
I
far
mean,
as I can tell.
I would definitely agree that she's a much prettier person on the inside. On the outside, that's so objective, but the fact that, Michelle got such praise heaped upon her for every little thing,
Hmm.
and honestly, her outfits were hideous. Like they really needed to tar and feather every single person that designed for her because they did not do that woman any favors.
I mean, it's just that. If you look at her face, it's like it has like such a hard expression etched into it. You know, like she
I
always.
would look pissed off all the time if I had to wear that crap. It was awful.
Or if
I mean,
you're,
her
or
clothes
if
were
you're, or if
hideous.
you're married to Barry.
Oh my gosh.
He comes out off the stage from his speech. And it's just like, did you do you really believe any of the things you just said just now? Barack, seriously, level with me. Do
She
you?
only ever looks happy when she's with George W. Bush.
Oh, don't get me started on George W. Bush after the Trump years. I mean,
Oh my
I
gosh,
mean,
yeah.
on a personable level, I guess I still like the man, but, uh,
Yeah, he's kind of like every other politician now that, is part of the swamp and likes the swamp the way it is and doesn't want to change anything about it.
it,
And it's this great big, like club of politicians that just want to keep their prestige and their wealth, and they don't like sharing that with the little people, and they don't like for anyone to come in and upset the atmosphere in the club, and
mm-hmm.
Trump dared to do that. And so I have just nothing for them anymore. I don't care. Like he can be a wonderful lovely man. Personally, as a politician, I have zero respect for him.
Yeah, you can say,
And that's kind of how I feel about almost every other politician across the board at this point. Like Republicans, Democrats, I don't like any of them. They're all garbage and they all need to be thrown out.
he's like, yep, sir, you can take your Kenny Bunkport conservatism and shove it in your Kenny Bunkport, frankly. But, yeah,
the
it's,
the most apt description of Republicans in general that I've heard is the surrender caucus,
mm-hmm.
because all they ever do is roll over and show their belly and surrender, and then they get to pretend to be like the loyal opposition from then on out,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to they get to virtue signal about how their tone is great, and their debate is very civil,
Mm-hmm.
but they do absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
I
get it.
don't give a crap about their tone and their
Mm-hmm.
civility when all they're ever doing is rolling over and allowing America to get screwed.
Yep. By China. Thanks, Chairman Xi.
Ugh. Yep. We get that fun little pandemic,
Oh
and
yeah.
then we
Speaking
got
of, how's your case of Chairman Xi's gift to
and
the
now
world?
now we've got China's pocket pet as the presumptive president. That's asterisk president. I refuse to acknowledge that he's legitimate in any way.
Yep, gotta love it because there's probably upwards of anywhere from 60 to 70 million Americans who agree, and for many millions more, because I'm gonna assume there's at least some portion of the people who vote for Trump who think that nothing actually did happen. Like insane abused
Right.
housewives. Um, but but you have to imagine there's also millions more though who, at the very least, see the cloud hanging over this election and have questions. Why's my hand shaking? Stop that.
I think there are people that see that cloud hanging over it and have decided that they're going to flat out ignore it and ignore everything that happened in 2000 and everything that's happened the last 4 years, and that questions are no longer allowed, that resistance is no longer something to be lauded and praised and turned into horrific sci-fi movie tropes. you know I mean,
Yeah,
it's
gosh,
just
it's
not a thing anymore.
that's part of what kills me too. Is just the way it's literally the way the tone instantly flipped. On
Hmm.
inauguration day. The COVID death counters disappeared, and the extreme hostility to the White House just completely disappeared. You can if you listen closely, you can literally hear Don Lemon, filleting Joe Biden, and it's just I mean he would, but it's just astonishing to me honestly because it goes back to whatever I posted that saying how the what did I post again? Oh my gosh, my brain just completely farted on that one. Like the thought was half formed, but instead of getting fully formed, it just turned into a
It's really good that you're the pretty one then, because nobody cares if you have brain farts.
if I'm the pretty one, we're screwed. Um, God, what was I gonna say though? I was talking about the tone flipping, and I just can't remember. I can't remember what exactly that is. What exactly the point I?
Oh, there was something I think it was on the Epoch Times earlier.
Hmm.
Uh, but it was the Washington Post journalist talking about how they can't fall into the trap of being combative and critical of Joe Biden and his administration because, that's really their jobs. But, you know, that it's so easy for them to become hypercritical of people that they agree with so much. So they have to be very careful not to fall into like this criticism of Biden. And I'm like, are you serious?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the
When
brazen.
have
It
you
was that.
ever?
It was that post I wrote about the brazenness of it all. It's the fact that they don't even hide
Oh
it.
yeah.
That's the fact that they don't even hide it. That's the thing that kind of gets me. You know, like they tried to hide it during the Obama years. They failed miserably. But they tried to hide it in the Obama years, and after the Trump years, I can almost respect that at least. Um, in its own sort of disrespectful way. I can almost respect it because at least they were trying. But now it's like it's not even they're not even pretending to be.
They didn't pretend very good with Obama.
No, they didn't.
It
Uh,
was I mean, the same way that COVID just became like a non-issue.
mm-hmm,
You remember throughout the Bush years, they had, the daily death counts of soldiers overseas.
mm-hmm.
And then Obama took office and suddenly it didn't matter. Like
Yeah.
they weren't talking about the soldiers dying overseas. They didn't really talk about the soldiers at all until he brought some of them home.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind the ones that he left or the others that he sent or, all of the drones that he just unleashed on innocent
Unsuspecting
people.
weddings.
Right. Never mind all of that. Anytime he brought soldiers home, that was like, you know, Obama is bringing peace to the world. And we no longer have to worry about our brave soldiers dying overseas.
And
Well,
then look who actually brought peace to the world, but it's the devil himself. Huh.
right.
Huh.
Orange Man bad.
Huh. Yeah.
No wars. And then what, day 2 with Biden, we've got tanks rolling into Syria.
Yep.
Like, really? You couldn't
Meanwhile,
wait
here's
6 months?
Meanwhile, here's Donald Trump. All right, so we're going to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and then 3 years later, there's like all these peace treaties, and normalizations of relations. And you're like, what? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait to see all that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see all that get reversed because, you know,
Well, all we ever heard the last 4 years was how he's damaging our standing and our respect in the global community and all this crap. And what did he do? Record peace deals.
mm,
So, I mean, I don't think our standing was all that terrible. The only thing that he did was take us out of treaties that required lots of financial input from us and nothing from anyone else that, damaged our energy independence. And so, okay, we pissed those people off. So
Mm-hmm. The people we
it
don't
seems
care
like we're
about.
pissing off the right people and helping the right people. So, I mean,
But I mean, it's also very obvious that the left doesn't care about that at all. Um,
oh no.
and
I don't I don't know. Someone said something earlier today about the fact that he immediately began to repeal or rescind everything that Trump did, no
mm-hmm.
matter how badly it hurt our country.
Yeah,
It was not leadership, it was revenge.
yeah.
And I don't know that any thought was put into it beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Trump did something, it worked out, we don't like that, take it back.
And I find that utterly I gotta try that in words. And I find that utterly mystifying, honestly, because we've talked for years, of course, about how the left kind of seems to hate America. Okay, does hate America and all that. We've talked about all these things, but it's kind of weird. I feel seeing it in action. Seeing the actual unadulterated version of these feelings and opinions and thoughts and whatnot. Because because before, at the very least, and like during the Obama years in particular, at the very least, you could kind of assume that the left wanted at least what was best for America, even if they were dead wrong about how they wanted to go about it. But seeing in the first 48, yeah, I was about to go backwards in time. 48, 72, 96 hours of the Biden, the Biden administration. Couldn't get that out without combining that with Obama. But of the Biden administration, though, and just seeing how they basically engaged in a series of punitive revenge tactics against Trump, and they still intend on continuing on it. The Democrats, the congressional Democrats intend on continuing to try and impeach him, even though he's out of office now, and so on. And so on. I like how that just caught your eye roll, just barely, but.
They're just terrified that he might actually run again and win.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, it's just like they want to bar that from ever happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you right now. Gosh, I don't know what 2024 is going to look like.
I've seen far too many people say that they have zero confidence in the system, to be fair, to be transparent, and they just don't intend to ever vote.
I can't wait till this gets. I can't wait till this gets us banned from YouTube. But this conversation gets us banned from YouTube.
Yeah, screw you, YouTube. But I mean, like that's kind of what they're looking for, and at this point, it doesn't matter if we vote, because they're just going to roll out suitcases full of votes from somewhere in the middle of the night and do whatever the hell they want.
And you know that because it worked so well last year, that they are probably currently working on ensuring that they have, that they have systems in place, not just in, major Democrat run up, cities and whatnot, but they're going to have them rolled out all over the place.
Oh yeah.
If it goes, if they manage to make it work on such a large scale last year, there's no way they're gonna pass that up again. Especially after the humiliating defeat of Hillary Clinton.
Right. The only way that I see this reversing in any way whatsoever is just lawsuits. We have to have an avalanche of lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got to get people arrested, like, within these counties where all this was taking place.
Even then, I'm not sure that would be enough. I can't wait till I have to figure out every instance of the word.
I don't know. I mean, they did to a national presidential election what they've done to their Democratic Party nominees for years now. It's like they've decided who's going to win, and it's not Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it's going to be. And however they get there, it, by hook or by crook, and, by crook mainly. It's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And all the little plebes can deal with it.
I can't wait till I have to figure out figure out where all the instances of fraud and so forth occur in this and have to censor them. So YouTube's not like, hey, you can't talk about that. And it's actually it is kind of, what's funny is I'm not actually being entirely sarcastic there. I'm probably going to have to do that.
Oh yeah,
because this video the video will 100% be the video will 100% be flagged if I don't, and probably with worse than a demonetization. Not that we're monetized on the channel, but definitely with worse than the demonetizing of the content. It will actually just get blocked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to censor my own speech for them, so they're gonna have to remove me from wherever they want me removed from. But that's where we're going, and that's kind of the whole. It's the abuser's psychology. Like, they keep hitting you when you do what they don't like until you have adjusted your behavior and your speech to accommodate them.
Mm-hmm. I'm basically thinking in the sense of, all right, how can I evade this without, completely censoring it? Because anyone who watches this, I think, is going to have an idea of what we're talking about. But, speaking of, I feel like we could, if we could figure out a way to upload an audio version of this, that would help too. Not to YouTube necessarily, just in, just privately. The problem is that we have to invent our own whole internet for that. Or at least rent the space, that can handle the small data stream that a pure audio version of this would be.
I mean, we can always revive the website.
You could do that, yeah. Probably will have to.
As long as WordPress doesn't decide that we're too evil bad thing to be
and that's
to be allowed.
That's not an invalid thing to think, we may be small fry, we may be, the last eaten by the tiger in this case, but that sort of thing could come.
Well, it's been proven over the last year that no one is too small to escape the censorship of big tech.
This is true. I like the world we live in now. Definitely not scary.
Yeah. The one we're allowed to inhabit for now.
That's fine. I say it's scary, but I'm not actually scared. It's just, it's just unnerving, I guess, is the better way to put it.
I guess we can set up a Nerd Rage on Parler, since that's a big thing now.
Or you could, since I'm not on Parler. Not yet, anyway. It takes time to set these things up, so, So I haven't really gotten around to it, necessarily.
I want to know when we have the Patriot Internet. Give me the Patriot Internet. Yeah. Super free.
It's funny, too, thinking about the fact that, only a mere 10 years ago or so, the internet was still pretty wild and free and full of all sorts of independent spheres and all that, the blogosphere and so forth. And in the
Yeah.
10 years since the way social media has sort of crept in and kind of taken it all over. And I mean that's not entirely surprising because it's the aspect of convenience. But I read it. There's an article I shared yesterday. That's on like Tablet Mag. That talks about how like Silicon Valley kind of has like an obsession with kind of like flatness and kind of making everything homogenous and easily interchangeable and everything is actually really interesting. It meanders around a little bit, but its ultimate points are actually pretty good and interesting, and it's a surprisingly compelling read, given it meanders a bit, but it talks about how Silicon Valley basically is kind of obsessed with that sort of thing, flatness, with kind of take is rather than having highs and lows and having excellence and mediocrity and so forth, is instead obsessed with everything just being in a sort of a boring middle where everyone kind of where everyone can kind of just switch, just like kind of switch in and out for opinions and and tastes and
Yeah.
desires and needs and everything. And it's actually, when you read it, it's actually kind of eerie actually to read it. A, because it's true, but B, because it feels, it's very striking when you kind of relate it to not just to like Silicon Valley, but to how this sort of idea of flatness has affected our entire lives, and how it's affected our world, and how like the ideas of how the idea of like excellence has kind of been slowly pushed aside in favor of a sort of genial mediocrity, I guess,
Mm.
And it's troubling to say the least as well,
Having done some editing on on some websites where we were hosting for big tech companies, and everything was about the Internet of Things and all of their analytics and everything. That is some of the most boring crap I've ever done in my life. Some of the most just bland people and and ideas I've ever had the displeasure of reading. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I can definitely see that. Um, you sort of have that, just that really vast beige. I don't even like. There's no descriptive for it, but beige. It's just a very
Mm-hmm.
unremarkable kind of
Yeah,
thought.
I was just thinking about it, but I think this also kind of partially explains my general, not total, but general dislike of memes. Because memes actually fall into the same category if you really think about it, where all humor is like kind of sort of interchangeable, and it's like you create this format for a meme and then you just start sticking it everywhere. But there's nothing really, but like outside of like the first few instances of said meme, like say the Bernie meme, um, like there's no real originality or real like any real actually even humor to it. Even like it might be amusing, and certainly I enjoy the Bernie meme too. But but if you really think about it, there's sort of, now that it's been a couple of days, there is sort of like a just droll mediocrity to constantly seeing Bernie Sanders pop up in various situations, whether it's the Jedi Council Chamber or the Council of Elrond or the Arctic Circle or with the piano guys or
A
you
lot of
know
that was only amusing in the fact that he could be inserted into so many things.
yes, yeah.
It's
And I mean the Bernie meme I think
um
is a weak.
not terribly clever. I personally think that my monk meme is
That's pretty good.
incredibly clever.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But
it's It works on different levels.
And I feel like maybe the Bernie meme isn't the best example because the Bernie meme's actually, I think the Bernie meme overall is actually funny. But there's lots of other like memes out there. There's lots of other, little memes out there, meme formats that have been used for years and so forth that have just, gotten old and stale, but people keep using them over and over again as new things happen in the world. But rather than creating something new, something witty, something different, something unique, they just go back to the same old tired, dull format. And it's kind of striking now that I think about it, because I mean, I've never been shy about saying that I'm not a super huge fan of memes. Outside of couple of a couple of formats that just absolutely kind of just connected with me. Generally speaking, I don't like how almost all humor on the internet has become centered around memes and memeing and virality and so forth, because it sacrifices true cleverness and true wit and true humor, to the altar of convenience and, I guess, ease of access is a way to put it. And I don't think that's a good thing, I don't think it's a good thing, because I think it also trains people psychologically to not look for more complex, more witty, more genuine humor. Because it's one thing if a meme makes you chuckle. It's another entirely if you're, say, watching a well-written sitcom, like, say, Frasier, and a gag gets built up for 20 minutes over the course of an episode and then pays off, at the very end, and it just hits you. There's a huge difference between those two things. And it's, I think that's an interesting thing to observe.
See, this is where I think that meming can be an art form, because you can have a conversation that's building up, and then you can take a moment from Frasier and you can insert it into the conversation, and it's got that punch.
Yeah, and that's something else. And that's something else, though. I feel almost, it's not the tired, 10 of my followers on Twitter shared the exact same meme format but with different things inserted, right? That takes a little more thought. That takes a little more thought, and maybe not planning. I was going to say planning, but that's not the right word. But it requires something more.
I like memes and GIFs as visual tools, and so I think that you can meme as an art, and it can be very clever. But yeah, just in general, meme dumps where it's just
yeah, and that's where
a
lot of them are. They're meme dumps, It's yeah. Oof. Well, that was wasn't expecting that.
Well, okay, so we pissed off big tech, and then we pissed off all the rest of the internet by, taking a giant crap on their memes.
Yes.
So now we've made everyone angry. It's been a successful nerd rage.
Now it's time to end it.
What we used to do.
But yes. Oh my gosh, you have absolutely been a slideshow this entire time. It's the greatest thing, honestly. You'll probably have to figure that out, because, I mean, I don't know actually if you can figure that out if it's just your connection and bit rate, but that's not a.
I'm prettier pixelated. It's fine.
It's not just pixelated. It's the fact that you're not I think you've had maybe 5 frames at most strung together at any given time. Which, I mean, visually, yeah, it's gonna look bad, but I don't think we care that much. we dealt with way worse when we live streamed on Spreecast, so this, at least we can clearly hear you. We've had a coherent conversation the entire time that we've been recording. You've just been a slideshow.
That was wild. We would have weirdos just pop into the room every now and then.
Spreecast was a terrible website. That's why. It's very like that's what happens when you're kind of like on semi obscure websites. You know, it's just you get all the weird people. You know, the people who are just kind of like, oh, here's this interesting website. You know, but it's probably because their accounts got banned off of YouTube or Twitch or whatever. You know, and so it's like, you know, so they got to go to the obscure, less policed websites on the internet and engage in whatever weird trolling they're gonna do. You know. I mean that's not even a lie. That's just facts. Yeah. We are a long way away from those days. I'm grateful for it, honestly.
Are we though? Are we really all that removed from those days?
I mean, strictly speaking, no, but we're certainly far away enough that the only way we think of Spreecast is one of us deliberately brings it up. And that's a good thing. Oh my gosh, I managed to see a whole blink from you that time. That was shocking. Like there was actually like a like it actually had all the frames of the blink there. Very it was very weird actually. I wasn't used to it. I'm used to
What's
like kind of
strange is even even lagging and pixelated, I'm still more human than Mark Zuckerberg.
well yeah, but I mean, you know, everyone makes the deems the memes rather of, you know, Mark Zuckerberg being like Mr. Data, but no, Data was more human than Mark Zuckerberg.
That's very true. Yeah.
You know, and then and then what happened to Jack Dorsey, or the weird beard
I
as
don't
Mark
know.
Stein calls him? What the hell is wrong with him? Why does he look like that?
He looks like he just crawled out of a cave after having a powwow with the Taliban. It's kind of weird.
Yes. And gosh, there must have been some sort of shrooms in that cave too, because holy crap. Half the time, the man looks like he's blitzed out of his mind.
Yeah, well, the opioids. It's he's been
Oh,
on a
so
little
he's in.
vacation.
Oh, so he went to Pakistan. Okay. You know it's true.
That's my
Don't at
that's
me.
my
You know it's
theory,
true.
anyways.
But
We're totally getting banned.
one episode and we're gone. Then we really will have to make our own internet, or at least find alternate platforms. Um,
Oh yeah. I am amassing hamsters even as we speak. It's gonna be so fast.
right,
They're all gonna
right.
be running on their little
Yeah,
wheels.
this is definitely, yeah, it's definitely working out for you so well right now, as we can all tell.
They
Anyway,
haven't been properly motivated yet.
I feel like we have
Gonna
a
have to.
million topics we could discuss because you know we haven't done this in like 2 years. But at the same time, notwithstanding the fact that it's, you know, 9 o'clock for me now. Um, yeah, but notwithstanding even that, it's just like it feels like we'll need several weeks to even get through it all.
Oh my gosh.
Because we have a heck
Well,
of a
we have we have no end of we've got plenty to work with. I'll put it that way.
yes. I mean, we have a heck of a backlog on top of a new new. I don't want to say administration because that doesn't feel like it's very true now, does it? Um, I mean,
It, it really doesn't.
I mean, talking. I mean, you know, saying that a racist old pervert is the 46th president of the United States just seems kind of inappropriate. You know. No, I think at this point I would much rather have the you know, the reformed pussy grabber than what we have right now. But maybe that's just me.
It's funny how that's been completely forgotten, seeing as how that's pretty much how Kamala made her way up in the world. But
Well, that's Dick Grabber, but you know. No, actually, maybe she grab. Maybe she grabbed Puss too.
no, I mean, like, she leveraged
Yeah, well,
she
yeah,
leveraged
we
sexual
know
favors,
we
and
we know there was leverage.
uh, but I mean, like, that's exactly what Trump was talking about in his interview. Uh,
Hmm.
was, just the fact that if you had status and wealth and whatever, that you could get away with a lot of stuff because people are constantly trying to leverage sexual favors for status and wealth.
Hmm.
So, okay, that's how Kamala got where she is.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
let's at least be honest about that.
But honesty is not what we're going to get for the next 4 years. It's really funny how they're talking about, how they're talking about truth and reconciliation. Um, and talking about how the last four
Yeah.
years are filled with lies and everything. And it's just like, yeah, ooh, boy. Ooh.
Yeah. Now we have to be re-educated, as if social media wasn't already trying that with their fact checkers and,
Honestly,
silencing of
I can't wait
dissent.
till they set up. I can't wait till they set up the internment camps. And
I, you know, it just sucks that we never got, like, they never sent the homosexuals to camps the way that everyone promised when Trump and Pence took
oh yeah,
office.
that's right.
So the camps are going to be just horribly underdone.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to be fixer uppers, and there's some of us who just aren't that good at it. So I mean, we're all just
Well, I mean, in a couple of months, that they're going to start talking about how it's like it's like that FDR and his internment camps, they weren't so bad, were they? You could use that idea. And then and then a couple of months after that, they're gonna start talking to Hollywood about getting some HD TV show HD HG even TV shows, set up, getting these camps ready to imprison the conservatives and the Christians, and it's like, all right, so as you can tell, this bunkhouse here is like really run down, but I think that with a little spackle, a little paint, maybe a little insulation. We could get it to looking pretty nice to house approximately, looks like 20 people could fit in here side by side. Uh, you know, and then
oh,
by
it
next year, we'll all be
the
rounded up.
crazy thing is that the absurdity of the modern age, we would totally have, makeovers of box cars and crap, just like as the modern equivalent.
Yeah, so when the Nazis designed Bergen-Belsen, I think the chief thing they were missing was feng shui.
I mean, it really is, because oh my gosh. Honestly, the modern age is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
What was
I'm
that you were saying earlier about people being unserious?
was I saying things about people being unserious? Because I feel like despite the humor, I'm being dead serious. I'm not looking forward to the next 4 years. I'm not looking forward actually to the next decade at all. Forget the next 4 years. I'm not looking
Hmm.
forward to the next decade. Because
I don't know. I really don't know how it gets any better after 4 years without some really major and radical stuff.
reform.
I don't know how it gets any
And
better.
that reform is definitely not going to happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's not going to happen. And I think that
Not not in any traditional sense, I will say that.
Yes, because I mean, and this goes with that conversation we were texting about, or messaging about, whatever it was. Um, I feel like a lot of people are, when it comes to this sort of thing, a lot of people are being fundamentally unserious about it. They're not taking seriously the challenges that we're kind of facing going forward. About like so many people are talking about like reforming the GOP from within, reforming the system with laws and legal action and so forth, and that just doesn't. After
We've tried reforming the GOP from within for like 20 years now. I
mm-hmm,
think we're past that.
yep. Um, but they're talking about all these things like these things are even feasible, or like things haven't changed, or if that things haven't necessarily changed, but that that it hasn't been basically been revealed to us that the truth and the reality of it is just not that simple, and it's not that easy, and frankly I think it's actually an impossible uphill battle for the average person. um and those are the circumstances we face, and a lot of people are talking after what we saw this past election with all the irregularities and all the blatant illegalities. um
Mm-hmm.
that there's another word I have to censor. um but after all of that, that like everything's just going to be back to normal, and it's like, no, it's not.
No.
Something is fundamentally
Well,
broken.
it is fundamentally broken. And the crazy thing to me is that there are people who are perfectly happy going back to, just like this head in the sand mindset where as long as the disagreements are civil, we can get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as long as we keep supporting the party that keeps turning over and allowing, the bullies to have their way, that things will get better. And it's just not going to happen.
And of
And there
course.
there is no reforming the GOP. At this point, the best thing that the average, Joe can do out there is just not to support them, to
Mm-hmm.
give them no support, give them no money, give them nothing. And I mean, I've seen plenty of people make the argument that, oh, you little plebes think that you're going to start your own party when, you can't the behemoth of the GOP and all of their funding and blah, 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 blah. Well, good luck having that without the support of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are millions and millions who are hit up for 5, 10, $20, all throughout every campaign season ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if people just draw a line in the sand and say no more, okay, well, go talk to your buddies across the aisle since that's all you ever want to do, anyways.
Yep. That's a giant mess, and it's not going to get better before it gets worse. Way worse.
It's going to get a lot worse.
Anyway, on that depressing note, I feel like this is a good time to end the episode.
Things are going to get so much worse. Everything's going to suck, and we're going to be back. So,
Yeah. Gosh, why would we do this? Why would we do this to people? So Biden's president, and everything's gonna suck. And oh, by the way, Nerd Rage is back too. So um. So anyway, we want to thank
yeah.
you for watching this horrific train wreck, where only one of us was actually presented as a coherent video, and the other one was bouncing back and forth between being a semi-coherent video, like she is right now, oddly enough, and a slideshow. But we hope that you enjoyed.
It's fine. The
In,
the
in,
the
in,
silver lining in your sad and depressed little lives is that Osei is the pretty one, and you get to see him in these videos. So it's okay.
enjoyed, right? That's the word I wanted to use. uh, uh, and right, we hope you enjoyed it. Assuming that I don't miss any potential words that I need to censor for our glorious overlords at YouTube. Um, hopefully that doesn't happen. Then make sure that you like the video. You can subscribe, hit the little bell icon for notifications if you didn't 2 years ago. Leave a comment as well if you have thoughts and opinions for us. Oh gosh, I really hope I censor everything. Gosh, that censor button's going to be working overtime when I'm editing this tomorrow. Um, and we okay. That actually wasn't intentional. My brain actually had a legitimate fart that time. I was acting nervous before that was that last bit was an accident. And we hope to catch you next time for more censorship theater in the reign of King Joe the First. Until next time, everybody.
Ew.
Hey, listen, if he is a king,
King Joe the First.
hey, listen, if he is a king, at least he is playing the part of being a sexual predator, right? Damn it, I'm gonna have to censor that too!